Today we are examining another urban Twin Cities ski area that was made famous for its field goal feature. Yeah, that one. So let's head on over to the desk and ski along. Well, welcome back to another ski along with Matthew Zabransky, and today we are taking a look at another Minneapolis urban ski hill, Hyland Hills. And this one is notorious for its park scene, but it has a lot of other things to offer, especially for beginners and intermediates, so let's take a look. Before we begin, let's go over some basic information. All of this POV footage that we're going to be seeing on screen in just a minute here was collected on January 20th of 2023. There were moderate crowds just because there were a couple of school groups there, and that's something to be aware of and we'll talk about throughout this video, is that it does get crowded after school and sometimes when there are school groups. However, if you go during the day, it usually is pretty light as far as crowds go. Weekends can be hit or miss too, depending on kind of what's going on around the hill, races or events and things like that. This hill is located in Bloomington, Minnesota, and for those that are not aware, this is basically right outside the city of Minneapolis. In fact, you can see airplanes basically taking off right over your head at the top of the hill, and you can see the skylines basically from the top of the hill, which is pretty amazing. The sights are pretty cool. This hill typically opens around the end of November and runs until the second or third week of March, just kind of depending on weather. And their regular hours are Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. through 9 p.m. Daily lift tickets are going to cost you $36 if it's an evening ticket. All day is $42 for an adult, obviously discounted for youths and seniors. They also have some specials as well. Monday through Friday nights, 2-hour lift tickets for $23, and that also is on Saturday and Sunday, 6 to 9. And then the skip work special, which is one of my favorite here, 9:30 a.m. to 2 on Monday through Thursday, and that's just $29 or $43 with rentals. We're going to scroll on down to rental equipment here. If you get skis, boots, and poles, $26, snowboard and boots, $26, snowboard only is $15, snowboard boots only is $15, and then helmet is $10. And then they offer a variety of lessons ranging from private, semi-private, to public lessons as well. You can find all that information over on their website, so we'll be sure to link that below if you guys want to find out more details. 14 different trails and 3 chairlifts, 4 rope tows, and 2 carpets. Vertical rise, we always use Google Earth for this, and what I was pulling up was about 155 feet of vertical rise. A couple other weird things that I want to kind of make you aware of if you're going to be visiting this hill. They do not have on-site parking, well, unless you want to pay for it. Their parking lot that's located right on hill has a rate of, I believe, $2 per hour up to $12. And if you want free parking, they have an auxiliary lot that's just down the street. It's very close, and they run shuttles consistently throughout the day. So you'd have to just park down the street. We'll put some images on screen so you kind of see where that is, and then take the shuttle in. The other thing that I want to make you aware of is that they have no liquor, beer or wine on site for sale. Obviously this might be a deal breaker for some people, but just to let you know, they have no bar as of now. They have obviously soft drinks and concession food, but right now no alcohol, so just something to be aware of when you go. I have heard some rumors that they might be looking to expand this in the future, but for now this is kind of where they're at. But without further ado, let's dive right into the ski along. So we're going to be starting over on their north lift, which is actually a 2004 Partech quad. And for those of you that aren't aware, Hyland Hills actually has a very strategic way of replacing their lifts. Basically, every 25 years, the lift gets replaced. And this is to keep it not only on a regular schedule, but also for financial planning as well, since they're through the park district. So this lift will be replaced in 2029. I'll assume that it's probably going to be a Skytrack quad just because that's what they've done for the other 2, but we will see obviously as that gets a little bit closer. Really small lift, only 3 towers, but if you cock your head to the right about here, you get a beautiful view of the skyline, so really cool. The first run that we're going to be skiing is actually off the backside of the hill, and a lot of people don't even know this run exists, and it's called Borealis, and it basically wraps around the back of the hill and kind of links back up with that quad. As you can see, it's really narrow. There are some side hits. We're going back behind the race tow rope, And as you can see, it's pretty flat, nothing too exciting here other than those side hits. This is one you could probably skip, you know, if you're a big skier, really focusing on more of the skiing, but really a lot of fun little side hits for the kids. I could see the kids really loving this, and it actually feels more like a real run, and Hyland doesn't have too many of those, so I can understand why this could be a hit with some beginner or intermediate skiers. The pitch is very mellow, though, as you can see through the video. Scooting on next onto just lookers left of that is Skyline, which is technically just along the race rope tow, which was not running for today. They only usually run it for race practices. Got a consistent pitch going down, a little mellower than some other. This is labeled a blue square. I would more label it still kind of in that green category. Pitch does tend to get a little bit steeper as you move closer to the lift, as you'll see in the next one, just a little bit steeper, but nice, really step up, good beginner intermediate run. And right next to it we have French Cliff, and this is got a nice consistent pitch. I took the lower start house race bump because you have to kind of hike up to the bigger one, which is, you know, kind of a pain. I like to lap. This is a really lappable run, and one, if I'm on the north side, I usually switch between this one and the next one we're going to ski, which is Big Mo. Obviously, the pitch is still pretty mellow, even for Midwest standards, but really a lot of fun and just a great vibe to be able to lap. And a beautiful setting, obviously, looking with the skyline kind of off into the background over there. And then this is Big Mo, so a very similar pitch. On our right here, you can see a couple of jumps that are fenced off, so that is actually for the Nybora ski team, so those are private jumps, you can't hit those, but you can hit the big park jumps, which are almost the same size. And speaking of big park, we're going to actually ride the rope tow up, and these rope tows are my favorite rope tows in the Midwest, and they were designed and built by David Thomas right here on site, and I love them because they come up to about chest height at where you actually pick them up, so you don't even have to bend down, even if there's no one in front of you, which is super cool. This is technically called their North Terrain Park, but everyone kind of calls it the Big Park because it has the biggest features. You can see all these kids kind of just hanging out. That is pretty common at Hyland Hills. You're going to see that a lot of kids, especially after school, on the weekends. They're going to be here and they're going to run the train down on the big jumps. But you can see beautiful features here. They change it out pretty regularly as well, and these are the much more bigger features with a lot more space in between. They have a 3 takeoff jump here, ranging probably from about 30 feet up to 45-ish maybe. Really nice features. And on the other side here, we have the South Terrain Park rope tow. Kind of going up here, you can kind of see what this looks like. These rope tows are fast as well, so they're going to get you up there really quick, do lots of laps. And this is probably the most popular terrain park set over here. And it's going to kind of range from beginner all the way to larger features. We're going to start with the more larger intermediate features, which is kind of right on the rope line here. I love the features here. They do a great job of changing them out and building new features. So every time you go there, you honestly might see something new that you've never even seen before because they're always chopping things apart, trying to make something new, make it better. They're always in the shop working on stuff. And then they have some smaller intermediate sized jumps kind of wedged in between these features as well. As you go further south down that terrain park, the features tend to get a little bit smaller. So we're going to go all the way to the southern part of this, and you're going to be able to see these features that are just kind of a little bit smaller, more towards the beginner side. They also do have a really beginner park, which we'll see in just a little bit. But these are really kind of nice features for warming up, learning new tricks on, you know, good takeoffs, things like that. They're really nice. And once again, they do a great job of kind of swapping these out pretty regularly and keeping everything nice and fresh for everybody. Next, we're going to go over to their center SkyTrack quad, which was built in 2012, replaced a Von Roll triple chair. This is another really small little lift with just a couple of towers, a few towers, but a really good beginner lift. So this would be your first chairlift that you would go up as a beginner, right from the beginner's area. It's really nice. It's not super high off the ground, so beginners love it because it's not very scary for children, and it's also very short, so you don't have to worry about attention spans or anything like that. The runs that it services, we're going to see in just a minute, are intermediate beginner level, so they're great. This is a great first chairlift for any skier or snowboarder. It might be one of the best out there in the Midwest. It's really great. And the first run that we're going to do is Kinderwaltzen, and this is basically just to the lookers left of the park, so you can see kind of the park fence on our left side, and then obviously the towers on our right. Really wide open, pretty mellow pitch, you know, nice beginner run from a chairlift. It's really great. They labeled it, I think, a blue square. I would still put this in the green category just because, you know, it's still kind of hitting that for my mark, but, you know, great place to take the kids to learn to ski. And then once you're ready, you can go to the other side, which we're seeing here, which is Lower Ridge Run. We didn't do Upper Ridge Run, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. And this one obviously is a little bit narrower between the poles and the tree lines, but just a different look. So once you kind of do that a few times, come on over this side and kind of run this ridge line over here. Always when you're at Hyland, look out for those beginner skiers out there. Just keep an eye out. They're always going to be around the hill, so just be aware of that. There was a couple of school groups where I was here today, so I was just being cautious and mindful as I was working through this. And then this is one of the longer runs that they have at Hyland. This is Tattle Tale, and this is labeled a blue square as well. And this will take you over to the south side, which is where I do the majority of my free skiing. So you can see some trees over to your right. You can actually ski through those if they have natural snow, and you'll be able to get a better view of it when we actually ride down Sitz. But this will take you on over to their final chairlift, or the most southern chairlift, and their newest chairlift, a 2020 Skytrack. This 2020 Skytrack was installed just a handful of years ago and replaced a Von Roll Triple. That Von Roll Triple, fun fact, is actually sitting in a parking lot of a defunct ski area that they're hoping to get online. So hopefully we get to see that Von Roll back in action. But it's hard to say. On our right on screen, you can see where Sitz is. It's kind of along that tree line and raging all the way to the pole, the towers here. And then our left is Gilboa. These are some of my favorite runs here at Hyland. Sitz has a little bit of a pitch, steeper pitch, and it kind of has a cat track that runs out. And then as you go further and further on that cat track, the pitch gets steeper and steeper. So when I ski it in just a second, I'm going to go all the way to the end, but you can also ski it under the chair line, which if you're just lapping is great because it's a great combination of, you know, having a consistent pitch, but having enough consistent pitch to get you basically all the way down without any sort of cat track at the beginning or the end. So I usually find myself kind of skiing this zone when I come to Hyland for free skiing. Maybe a couple laps on the north chair like we did earlier, and then kind of come over here and just lap this continuously, kind of right under the chair. But for Sitz, we're going to actually go all the way down to the catwalk. Now, this is technically part of Upper Ridge Run, and you can see beautiful skyline views here. And as you can see on our right, the pitch just keeps getting steeper and steeper. There are those trees that you can actually jump into if they have some natural snow. And not a ton of great turns here, but nice little pitch that you can, if you're a beginner, intermediate skier, you can kind of get a feel of a more steeper run without getting committed to one. So I actually really like that about this run quite a bit. And we're just going to go right back to that Skytrack. And then we're going to actually go to the other side of the lift here, and this is technically Gilboa, which has got a nice, more consistent pitch all the way down. So this one's really fun to lap if you're just looking to get some good turns in. Is it super steep? No. It's, kind of that intermediate pitch for sure by Midwest standards, but, really nice, consistent, get on down, and you can just go ahead and lap that chair, and that's usually what I find myself doing there. And then finally, on this south side, we're going to do Bigfoot, which is marked a green circle. And this kind of wraps all the way around the backside, kind of another longer run for Hyland. But I love the fact that it kind of comes and then gives you a beautiful turn and look at the skyline right here. So this is a really popular one with beginners. This could be another option for you if you're looking from the beginners area to come up a chairlift. You could do this option as well. This one is a little steeper, I would say, than probably doing like Lower Ridge Run or Kinderwaltzen. You might want to work up to this one, but this is a really fun one for the kids. On our right, you can see some of these trees. Some of the snow blows in there, and they have some kind of like side hits that you can do along the way and kind of a little zone there, so some of the kids will enjoy doing that. Just a nice mellow green run, kind of circling and doglegging down to the lift. And then we're going to finish off at the beginner area, and this is one of two magic carpets that they have, all the way on Looker's right. Technically not named trails, but this whole beginner area is really nicely laid out. I love that they have, 3 lifts here, and they have a rope tow, which is great, and a carpet, so you can kind of choose what you want to learn on. And we're going to start at their kind of furthest Looker's right of this, and I would say it's kind of their mellowest pitch. It does tend to get a little bit steeper as you go kind of down south, but it's all pretty much the same. Now, this is a very beginner run. Obviously, this is just where you're going to start out, but a nice mellow pitch for those beginners, for those children. Nothing to be afraid of, and they have a nice little run out, so no worries about going too far or too fast. You're probably going to be just fine here. And then next, we're going to ride up the rope tow. I love this rope tow because there's not many like true beginner rope tows in the Midwest. Most of them service like terrain parks, and they can be intimidating. This one is a true beginner rope tow, so it's really cool if you want to learn how to learn a rope, because there's people falling, and it's pretty much like that all the time. And then this actually services their beginner terrain park, which has ride-on features, and kids just love this. So it's a great place to learn and lap and kind of get used to the Hyland culture of things before diving into their big parks. And then this is their magic carpet that they just relocated south. It was kind of in the middle of the learning area, but they moved it all the way to that tree line on Looker's left and opened up a lot of really awesome terrain, so it's a little bit more spacious now when you're kind of skiing down. And this has a little bit more pitch than the first run that we did in this beginner's area. So it's a little bit of a step up maybe before you go to the chairlift. And once again, nice wide open, so nothing to worry about hitting, and a great learning area. And before we dive into our final thoughts, I just want to talk about the only run that we didn't really ski here, and that is Upper Ridge Run to Lower Ridge Run. And we kind of skied parts of this, but we didn't ski the entire thing. And this run it's a pretty cool run. It's labeled a green circle, and it is pretty mellow. It's kind of a cat track that goes all the way across and then cuts down. It's by far the easiest way to get to the chalet from the southern area. So that's one of the reasons I would recommend it, is if you're obviously skiing that southern area and trying to get back to the chalet to get back to your car or the shuttle, that's going to be the easiest way, because if you go down to the bottom of that south chairlift, you're basically going to have to do some skating a little bit uphill to get on over to the chalet. So I recommend that. And then the other thing that's really cool about this run is it looks at the skyline the entire time. So, you know, one of those minor things that I guess you don't really think about, but it's really cool to see. And then just keep an eye out for airplanes, because they literally go right over your head. That's basically their takeoff path, you know, depending on where the wind's blowing and which runways they're using. That literally is in line with some of their takeoffs, so they'll literally go right over you, which is pretty cool and pretty unique for the Midwest. All right, so that is pretty much Hyland Hills in a nutshell. Final thoughts on that Hyland Hills. Is it a place that you're going to spend all day? Absolutely not. It's a really small urban ski hill, but it serves a very niche population in that people that want to go out and lap after work. It has an amazing terrain park, and if that's your vibe, it's awesome. The ropes are fast, the features are great, and they're always changing, so it's amazing. The one thing that you do have to be aware of if you're skiing park, especially if you're a little bit older, is there are a lot of kids and teenagers there, especially after school. So just something to be aware of. Definitely still worth checking out, but you might want to go at either a midweek morning or a weekend morning before those kids start to kind of pile in and arrive. This area is great for beginners and intermediates. However, it does lack a little bit of steeper terrain for more advanced skiers. Kind of like I said, you're going to find your way over to that south area and lapping that one chair over and over again. And that might be bad for some people. It might be good. I actually really enjoy a casual visit to Hyland Hills every now and then, just because it's so close to the cities, and you could be there, you know, 10-15 minutes from, you know, some of the downtown areas, which is really, really cool. They also have a couple of products that are just a couple of hours of skiing for a really reasonable rate, so it feeds right into that mentality of just going out and getting a couple of laps in. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed skiing along with me at Hyland Hills, but until next time, I hope all of you have a great week. Pray for snow, and let's ski along real soon.